Hello, Meter Base, MicheleMarieDalene. It is the 29th of November. It is a Tuesday, and I'm in the mood for cheese. And guess what? I ain't got the money for food until Thursday. That's not uncommon. It's the end of the month, and a lot of people are struggling to get around with their bills and everything else. And I'm certainly am not above and beyond everybody else in that area, despite what you might think. Yesterday we talked about something that Carrie French brought up on the Next News Network, and I just wanted to kind of give you an update on that. Let's revisit it really quickly. He basically triggered a whole bunch of people, and some people got really defensive for good reason, because they got depressed or angry because they felt that he did not know or did not understand the situation with the disabled and those people on food stamps. Oh, it's true that a lot of people do on food stamps buy a lot of frivolous goodies. A good portion of us don't, but for those of you who are on food stamps, I already know I'm preaching to the choir. You already know how it works, but for those of you who are not, well, let's just say I'm going to give you a quick little lesson. I say quick because I'm in a public setting and things can get kind of vulgar, and I don't want to get vulgar, okay? Food stamps are a needs-based program that is, I'm just trying to adjust my camera here, being needs-based. Yeah, oops. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So, food stamps are a need-based program that was created by the Department of Agriculture. I don't know exactly when. I just know that it was created by the Department of Agriculture which has a win-win scenario for two different groups: the farmers and the buyers. The farmers, for example, get to sell the products that otherwise probably would never be sold. For example, right now there is a glut of cheese. My favorite thing. There's a glut in cheese. So what's happening is I didn't really have a chance to set this up before this one. Okay, there's a glut in cheese. So what's happening is the farmers sell the cheese. Originally, it used to be they would sell it to the federal government. The federal government would send it out to groups or recipients in need. You may or may not know, heard of the 5-pound cheese program that was originally created in the 70s, 80s. And that was what it was for. And that later, of course, at the same time, there was other stamps, coupons as they call them, but I don't even know why they call them food stamps, considering that they're not stamps, they're coupons. Okay. When I was a kid, because we got food stamps because my mom and dad were struggling, and the ton of eligibility requirements in the 70s was pretty much more broad than today. I used to get mixed up with S&H green stamps, which is completely something different, which my mom used to get S&H green stamps as well. So S&H green stamps and food stamps together meant that we could have at least something nice for Christmas. We're talking about food stamps, not the S&H green stamps. That's a whole nother video. We could talk about S&H in a little bit later. What is S&H? But so you'd get these, in the old days, you'd get a certificate from your participating food stamp agency that you would go to, say, a redeeming agency. They would take the certificate, which would spell out exactly how the coupons would be distributed and what values. And then you would then go ahead and use that money. Like you have a 1, a 5, a 10, a 20, and a 50, maybe 100, but that was pretty rare. Most people didn't have hundreds. So you could call it the Department of Agriculture money, because that's exactly what it was. It was money. It just didn't have any small fractional units. In other words, there's no dimes, nickels, quarters, and pennies. Okay, so let's see about something at the store for say $10, and all you had was a $20 coupon. Well, if it was say $10 and you have a $20, they'd give you a $20 food stamp coupon back. If it was like a fractional part, say like, let's see, it was you buy something for $9.50 and you had a $10 coupon, you would get 50 cents back. That was legal tender, and you could use that and save up those little change and buy things that was non-food items. So I thought that was kind of cool. As a kid, I thought that worked out pretty good, because you could always save up maybe enough coins and buy yourself a roll of toilet paper. Really kind of a win-win, right? Today's food stamp system is using electronic benefit transfer cards, or EBT cards. For those of you who've never seen one, I happen to have mine. I will show it to you. And we can talk. But the next thing is who was eligible for food stamps and under what circumstances. This is my card right here. I got the last few digits covered, as you can see it. And this card here will give you. It's just like a debit card. It has a magnetic stripe in the back. You can swipe this through point-of-sale terminals at the participating retailers, and it goes ahead and gets your balance. So if you have $120 and you only have to purchase something that's only for $1.05, they're going to take out $1.05. They're not going to take out $2 and then try to give you cash back, which I thought was, in some ways makes a lot of sense, but in some ways it's also kind of asinine. But that's just me. Who actually is eligible for food stamps? It's a needs-based program. Okay, what that means is you have to have a need for it. Okay, they don't just give it to everybody. What about the Syrian refugees? Let's leave them alone. I don't want to go there. Okay, let's just talk about all generic needs-based. Okay, you fill out an application with your participating social services in Connecticut State, Connecticut Department of Social Services, and it's relatively a pretty nosy form. They ask everything like how much assets you got, if you're working, how much is your rent, how much is utilities. Based on that, you will be given food stamps. If you're eligible to work, you will be given food stamps for a short period of time, and then after which, it's like 2 months, 3 months. You have to figure you're done with food stamps so you can go back to work and get a job. If you are on disability or your other conditions which are not going to help you ever get work again or become self-employed, you can receive food stamps for a longer period of time. I know because I'm legally blind, I get food stamps, and the requirement to find work doesn't apply to me. But that doesn't mean that food stamps are exactly the gravy train. No pun intended. First of all, it's depending on the eligibility program in your state. Your benefits may be like nothing based on your income. What they consider income is gross income. That includes Social Security. That includes that's better. That includes as I said, Social Security, pensions, money from work, money from royalties. If you're a publisher or a musician, you know what that is. Those things is considered the gross income. And that gross income, some of it is defined as up to a certain level is considered gainful employment. Some was just considered meagerly getting by. Most of my friends on Social Security disability, for example, might be getting as much as $760 average in food and cash from the Social Security Administration. And then, of course, they got to pay, say, $700 a month rent. They might get about $300 in food stamps for a single person in that case. But that doesn't mean they're exactly rolling the dough, because that's only for food. It doesn't cover electricity. That doesn't cover gas. That doesn't cover toilet paper. That doesn't cover if you want to get a hot meal because you don't have any utensils, an extremely common problem. That does not cover any of the things that you would expect to cover. So, for example, toilet paper. Toilet paper you gotta buy out of your own pocket. Oh, you want a hot chicken sandwich? Sorry, you can't buy a hot chicken, but you can always buy the cold chicken material, the mayonnaise, whatever, and go ahead and make your own chicken sandwiches. And that's what it was for. It was designed for people who had access to a working kitchen that could cook. Unfortunately, a lot of the people on Social Security disability who are homeless don't have that. And so there's a very strange policies regarding what people consider a welfare recipient, which is not necessarily the same thing as food stamps, but they are both needs-based programs. If you're just on food stamps, of course, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily on full general welfare, because there are people on food stamps that, for example, are on unemployment. For example, if you've lost your job due to no fault of your own, or get laid off, you may receive food stamps for a time. So technically these are needs-based programs, but they are not necessarily, you don't have to have both simultaneously. Even if you're gainfully employed, say working at McDonald's, and you still got to pay, for a single person $700 a month rent, and of course pay for your electric and your gas, you could still be eligible for food stamps. The difference is you're not going to get a heck of a lot, but since you're working, they figure you're a lower priority than someone who isn't. So what Gary French was belly aching about, what he's saying is, people on food stamps like to spend their money on soft drinks. Not everybody does. I drink soft drinks once in a while. It's not a regular thing for me anymore. When I was younger, I tended to like to drink a lot of soda. But a lot of times I see people leaving on regular cash buying sodas because it's cheaper, okay? Food stamps aside, there's a lot of people who buy sodas and sweets and processed foods because they're cheaper. It's not because they're better. I mean, if you gave somebody a fixed amount of money that can only be used for groceries, nothing else, as I mentioned, you can't use it for toilet paper, you can't use it for soap, you can't use it for any other things. And there's only, say, my case is like $120 a month for food, right? So you're going to go, okay, you got $120 a month for food, and that's all you can use it for. You can't use it for anything else. But you got a pile of the bills to pay. For example, like, as I said, all the utilities, and in my case, I also have medications to pay for and things like that. So all that's got to go out against my system benefits somehow. So what happens is, people just don't got enough money to stretch. So that $120 in food stamps is not really a lot. Because when you price out healthier things, for example, buying a whole gallon of milk in Connecticut. I'm just going to round the numbers up because I'm hearing all kinds of numbers all over the country, but I'm going to just make the numbers easy, make it a flat numbers, okay? Say $5 for a gallon of milk. $5 for an 8-ounce block of cheese. Actually, it's about $4. Okay, so that's $9. And then you want to buy fresh fruits and vegetables. So you might buy a bag of apples. That might be about $2. Then you might want to buy some carrots. That's another $2. Then you want to buy some meats. Forget about it. The meats, depending on what kind of meat you're buying, you could easily spend, 5 to 10 pounds of meat, which is a lot of meat. But we're talking about for a whole month now, not just a week. You might spend about $20, $30 on meat products. And if you are lactose intolerant, obviously you're not going to drink milk because milk makes you sick, right? So you're not going to drink milk if you're lactose intolerant. I'm not. I love milk. In fact, I'm calcium deficient, so I tend to, and I also need a lot of vitamin D. So I drink a lot of milk, plus I take over-the-counter vitamins and calcium supplements to make up for the lack of vitamins and calcium in my diet. Even though I drink a tremendous amount of milk, it turns out that I'm still vitamin D deficient, partially because I suffer from ocular albinism, but that's also mostly because I burn like to a crisp, and I tend to stay out of the sun. But when I do go out in the sun, it's got to be just the right UV index, but I digress. Anyway, so what Gary France should do is, I think he should do a follow-up on his own video, looking at the comments that he does. If he says he's a news reporter, a news reporter does more than just take a news article from another source and recant it again and say it all over again. A news reporter also does follow-ups to his stories and looks into the situation. The story he talked about is an old story. It's not new. It was discussed in several research papers I had read, and I see it every day in the trenches. So it was not an unusual story. Maybe to Gary France it was, but to me, no, I see it every day. So one of the things that everybody complains, as they say, is that we shouldn't be eating processed foods. No, we shouldn't. Nobody should be. And the processed food should be off the menu. But guess what? It's not. So, and it's because, again, it's where the people in the cities go shopping. A lot of them go to the convenience store down the street because that's conveniently close by. Now, you got to remember, a lot of people don't have cars, and so that they're going to go shopping where the food is, where they can get to. And while you go to the store, and all they sell is frozen pizzas and maybe some frozen baked chicken. Ugh, trust me, I've eaten plenty of that. And burritos, and or even the calzones I buy, which are actually pretty good, but they're, kind of blah after a while. Don't say to me that you should go to, XYZ and spend your food stamps buying fresh produce and milk and things like that. That's great if I had access to XYZ, but I don't. I might have access to DEF. I may have access to ABC. I might have access to MNLP, but I may not have access to XYZ. So I end up basically having to buy the things that I can get and I can afford. Now, because since convenience stores ain't cheap, I was telling you. None of the stuff's cheap, and all is so loaded with fat and carbohydrates and stuff like that, but it's cheap food. That's why it sells good, okay? People don't realize is that the food stamp people, even Governor LePage in Maine was belly aching about this. I mentioned that a few months ago. He was saying is that the food stamp program should change the requirements. I don't think so much that's not unreasonable, but what it is maybe what should be changed is that more individuals should be encouraged to open up more retail stores to cover fresh food produce. That's what it needs. Don't try to tell a person on food stamps that they should not be able to have occasionally a Mars bar or once in a while a bottle of soda. That's not fair. But if you made affordable, good quality food available, and that's the key word, is affordable, you can bet more people would eat that food. But if the food is not easily available or so expensive that your $120 a month food stamps, let's take it up. Let's figure this out. If you got 4 weeks in a month, that's $40 a week for groceries. You're going to have to figure, that's $30 a week. $30 a week for groceries. That's less than $5 a day. You're not going to be able to. It's $4 a day. Is it? No. Yeah, it is. Okay, $4 a day. That's one slab of Cumberland Farms sharp cheddar cheese, basically, every day. That's all you can buy for $4 a day. Oh yeah, maybe 2 boxes of Little Debbie snack cakes, and or maybe 1 bottle of Cumberland Farms soda, or 1/2 gallon of milk, like this size here. That's not a lot, you know. So when you people are saying is that, you know, you're angry and ticked off because people on fixed incomes, on food stamp entitlements, have to use it to buy garbage. You should know that part of the problem is that there is no affordable non-garbage. Why these companies that make processed foods, for example, which are relatively inexpensive? They're inexpensive because they're made out of ingredients that are easy and less expensive to companies, so they can make a profit on it. But still, what they need to do is they need to be willing to make a better product, a healthier choice product, and you can buy at Cumberland Farms. You know, buy or Store 24 or Extra Mart or DB Mart or whatever. You know, if you sell something healthy, people will come. They will eat. If you sell garbage, and that's all they have, and they're hungry, they're going to come eat. Also, the food stamp people should also get a couple of things understood. Not everybody has access to a kitchen. The homeless get food stamps. Okay? The homeless get food stamps. They don't have a kitchen. They don't have access to cooking facilities. They may not even have access to pots and pans. That's why they're called homeless, honey. They don't have food stamps. Ways to cook. For example, fresh cake mix, or even if they could buy the cake mix, they may not have the money to buy the eggs, the flour, or the eggs, the oil, the everything else. And guess what? No one says, yeah, but isn't that still eating bad stuff too? Yeah, but you know what? That's the problem. So the problem is not so simple, Gary, of saying is that we're drinking soda, for example, because we love it. People drink soda and food stamps because sometimes they don't have a choice. So maybe if you don't like the situation, just like Donald Trump said, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you research the full story before you put your foot in your mouth? Okay?
Isn't that the truth? The whole story before someone puts their foot in their mouth.
You know about the food stamps?
I don't care.
No.
Why? What about them?
Well, we're talking about food stamps right now, and we're talking about how
Getting rid of the food stamps?
you have food stamps, right, Lisa? And you know how like some people always seem to complain because people buy soda and stuff on food stamps? Well, this is one reporter on the Next News Network, and he's sitting there, and he's saying to people is that he's shocked to see that they're drinking soda on food stamps. And like a lot of us in this comment section have said, well, do you ever realize a lot of people on fixed income don't have much of a choice because they got to make $120 of food stamps last the whole month for food? And because the rest of their money is used for paying rent and utilities.
$120.
That's what we're talking about here. And
$120. I don't get it.
That was one of the patrons here at the SIP kitchen where I eat. Now, what about the SIP kitchen? Does that help with the food stamp offset? Yeah, it does, but still, it's not immense. It's not like super solution. Okay, if that makes any sense.
There's times where I got soda, there's times I get soda, but I get a big thing of iced tea because it lasts longer. You know what I mean? Soda's bad for you anyway.
I don't like to drink soda either,
I like
but
ginger ale. Ginger ale's good.
But you know what? It's just like Lisa. It's just like the people in the on the forum said to this reporter, is that a lot of people in fixed income, buy things like milk and fresh vegetables and meat costs a lot more money than it is to go to Cumberland Farms and buy a frozen pizza.
Oh, I know. Hey, but I found out, DiGiorno pizzas, they're 2 for $10 at Price Right.
I don't have a ride at Price Right.
Take the bus, 2 for $10.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not really in the mood for pizza. That sometimes is another thing. She just said something very important. Yeah, sometimes the sales are not necessarily going to be in places you can easily get to. So, Mr. French, let me just say right now, is I think if you're a reporter, and you claim to be a reporter, I think you should do this. I think you should follow up on your own story. Not from just being a teleprompting, reading man behind a desk, but actually go ahead and dig into the story and research it. Anybody can sit behind the desk and read news, but if it takes a real investigative reporter to get down and dirty and actually dig into the story and look at the whole truth and nothing but that truth. That applies to you too, CNN. You need to do the same thing. To research the story and tell it as it is. Don't sit there and try to twist something. That's something what CNN's been doing the whole time. That applies to any news team. You have to be honest, factual, tell the truth, and have a straight story. Well, I'm proud to say that, I hope that this will encourage people to be more educated and informed. So let's get started with the weather, shall we? There we go. All right, starting with today. Right now, it is 2 degrees Celsius and it's light rain. Feels like 2 degrees Celsius. Wind's not shown. Humidity is 86%. UV index is low. Dew point is 0 degrees Celsius. Sunrise today was at 6:59 a.m. Sunset will be at 4:22 p.m. For the next 2 days, on Wednesday, there'll be a high of 10, a low of 7, 100% chance of rain again. And then on Thursday, a high of 10, a low of 0, 10% chance of rain. It will rain all day, by the way, and the expected high today is about 11 degrees. So, not bad, not great, just kind of in the middle. But I invite all of you guys to comment and subscribe and share your opinion. I'm sorry Monique didn't come today again. But like I said, I don't really have any control over her situation. But that's life, right? I gotta do with what I got. And I hope that if those of you who are reading the next news networks message with Gary French about the most popular thing to buy on food stamps video is that you will sound and speak up if you think what you're hearing is wrong or right. I'm open to that. I'm up there and, we'll see what happens. What do you think? Food stamps. Yeah. I don't really think a lot of people understand food stamps. Really? Yeah. Because it's an entitlement program that some people do know and some people don't know. And those who don't know sometimes are misinformed of what they really it's about. I think that's true with a lot of entitlement programs and needs-based programs. I do wish that food stamps would cover things that you need for cooking, like pots and utensils and dish soap and plates. And plates, obviously, if you're going to have people being mandated that they cook their own food, you got to give them the resources to do it. That's true. Someone says, well, Salvation Army's got some things. Sure, you can get some cheap Chinese pots, but that's still not going to help you when you don't have, for example, a pair of oven mitts or, for that matter, paper towels, dish soap to wash your plates and cups, saucers. You need those things too, right? Yeah, and if you don't have those, it's also a lot of times people, especially homeless people, don't have refrigerators. So, or ice boxes, or ice chests. So they're not going to buy a ton of food. It was just like it was back prior to the 1920s. A lot of people would buy only what they would need to use for the day, and then they would, so if they said they wanted to have a steak, they'd buy a piece of meat from the butcher, and then it would cook the same day, because they didn't have a lot of refrigeration. In fact, most ice boxes were very small. If you take a look at the typical icebox sizes compared to a modern refrigerator, you'd be surprised. Don't forget, if it's an icebox, you got a big chunk of ice sitting on one side of the thing. So think of it as a glorified cooler. That's exactly what it was. It just was usually on its side instead of laying with the door swinging up like in a standard ice chest. But anyway, that's something to think about. And anything else to say? Not really. Just hope that you guys are enjoying these videos and that we hope that you'll continue to be a part of our communications efforts and things like that. And of course, things are changing. And now with Donald Trump coming in, he's going to make America great again, which means that maybe now we're going to see more jobs return to this country, which means the people on food stamps to be less of them because they'll be finding gainful employment and they'll be able to pay for their own groceries with their own earnings and their own income. And that's what I want to go back to work too. I'm tired of receiving disability. I want to go back to work somehow. Because trying to run a YouTube channel like this is really, really not working financially. I'm not getting anywhere with this at all. Oh, by the way, still got the iRig Pre. Yeah, like this one right here. Please don't dump your coffee. Yeah, I got this one, just like this one here. I'm available. The one that's broken for a $20 monthly donation on Patreon, GoFundMe, and that will help us to continue to defray our operating costs and pay for our prescriptions and other things. And if you want to make a $200 donation, I have the Dell Portable 122T VS80 tape drive. May need some repair work, but it is available to you right now for $200 one-time payment. Of course, we have to ship it out, so it's gonna go against the $200 that you send me. So I have to use that to put it in a box, package it, insure it, and send it your way. If you're not interested in any of those things, but you want to make a donation, that's fine. Just say so in your email message, and then I will try to find the next qualifying person to send that money out to that person who sends me a donation of $20 a month for the iRig 3 and the $200 one-time payment for the Powervault PV 122T with barcode reader. I gotta warn you, it's a big box, and yes, I do have the rack mount flanges that go on the side, so if you want to mount it in a rack, you can do so. That's an option to you. But anyway, today, of course, is going to be, as I said, it's going to be rainy, it's wet and soggy, and it's not really exciting, but that's expected. But either way, I thank you very much for watching these videos, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay? Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.